Welcome once again to Redeeming the Time. I'm Pastor Matt McEwen, and I'm joined once again by Rabbi Shapira. And we have a wonderful question today that comes to us that says, what is the relationship between the Lemba people and Africa? Rabbi, would you give us some background on who and what the Lemba people are, what is their history, and what's the relationship with Africa?
Wow, this is an amazing question. Thank you so much for asking this question. Now, for the benefit of our audience, we need to first of all understand that the Northern Kingdom, well, there were two kingdoms. There was the Northern Kingdom and there was the Southern Kingdom. The Northern Kingdom has been scattered. They have been scattered to all corners of the earth. Now, some of them are easily identifiable, but some of them are not. In addition to that, even in the Southern Kingdom, what we know as Judah and Benjamin, and part of the tribe of Levi, they also, not all of them return. So the Bible spends significant time speaking about what God is going to do in the last days, and this is one of the things we're praying for 3 times a day. It's called the ingathering of the exiles. There is a lot of discussion in Jewish thought whether or not all 12 tribes will return.
Well, and that, let me just ask you real quick, sorry to interrupt, Rabbi, but this is probably a point of confusion among Christians because we love this term, the lost tribes. This is kind of what you're talking about here, right? They're not really lost.
They're not lost for God.
Right.
Let's start by saying
they're scattered.
They are scattered. They are scattered, and one of the signs of the coming of the Messiah is that God is going to start to reveal to them and to reveal to others that the connection, and I'm not talking here about spiritual connection, it's important for the nations to understand. We're talking about a physical connection that can be traced back to the house of Israel.
A blood connection.
A blood connection. As a matter of fact, this particular tribe that is here in Zimbabwe, but also in South Africa, they came all the way, they're traced all the way from Yemen.
Wow.
Which was a big Jewish capital. They came and they established a city also called Tzena, which is one of the major cities. And we can see their connection to Judaism. Now you probably ask, how do you see the connection to Judaism? How do we know that? We know that by the oral traditions they kept. That's number one. Like in the case of the Lemba. Number one, the way they slaughter their meat. The way they cut their meat. The fact that they're not married outside. They have a similar ceremony to a bar mitzvah and circumcision. But all of those things have been morphed. Have been morphed because they have been scattered and they have been away from Judaism. Now, the other reason that we know the connection to the Jewish people is the chromosome that is very unique to the Kohanim. There is a specific chromosome that is found. If you are a Kohen from a Kohen, Levites,
people from the Levitical line.
From the they have a very unique chromosome. This is a medical thing. That's why when the Lembas were discovered, as an example, they went to Tel Aviv University. They ran a lot of testing. I'm not talking about somebody doing DNA. I'm talking about the reputable things that are happening inside the land of Israel that confirm that they are 80%, like I think the number's 80% Kohanim DNA.
Wow.
This is amazing. Now, why is this significant specifically for Africa? And you have many others, by the way, in Africa. You have in Kenya, you have in Ivory Coast. In Nigeria, you have another tribe called the Igbo tribe. So we have a lot of scattered among the house of Israel, specifically in Africa. The question, why Africa? Well, we have to look at the map in understanding how they went around, but also understanding it through the word of prophecy. Okay, listen to the prophet Zephaniah. Here is the way he described the last days. He says that in the last day, I will take the people and I will give this people, he said, for then I will give to the people purified lips. Now, this word in Hebrew, I will give the people purified. It's actually, the word is not give the people purified. You read it in the Bible, it doesn't make sense. In Hebrew, it says, I will flip their language. And if you look at this term, safa, brua, in Gematria, it's equivalent to holy tongue. I go and give them.
Wow.
Everybody will speak Hebrew in the last day. Have you ever stopped and asked yourself, how come the scripture says that in the last day the Lord will be one and his name will be one? Everybody will speak one language. Right before the Tower of Babel, everybody was speaking Hebrew. It's going to repeat itself. Listen to this. It said, here you go, that all of them, this is Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 9, that all of them may call upon the name of the Lord to serve him shoulder to shoulder. And where are they coming from? Where is this revival will happen? From beyond. Beyond means further out from the river of Ethiopia.
Wow.
What happened in the 1990s? A mass explosive through Operation Abraham. Such explosive of Ethiopian Jews made the Aliyah. This has happened. But it says it's going to be further. My worshiper, the dispersed one, will bring my offering. And who is this offering? This name for their offering, it's have a name of Bat Putzi. And what is Bat Putzi? Nobody really know. The rabbis of Israel said this is all Africa. All Africa, all the Jews that scattered in Africa, start in Ethiopia, going further south over, they all will be restored back to the house of Israel.
Wow.
So the Lemba is a significant tribe. They are completely stayed with the tradition that is really in many ways remain true to the house of Israel. In many ways it's lost. So that's what we're seeing. We're seeing right now a prophetic fulfillment of being able to return them, connecting back to their roots, because the oral roots are already there. Now we just need to reestablish the Torah. So we have this term called the Anusim. Those who have been converted, forcibly converted. By the way, they had the same problem. Believe it or not, if you would go 200 years with the Lembas, most of the Christianity is, they will tell you, it's corrupted them. Some of their tradition left and disappeared because of Christianity and because of Islam.
Right.
So this is now a story of 2,000 years that have to be written. But despite all of those things, even 2,000 years dealing with Christianity, dealing with Islam, they still kept some of the Jewish traditions, what I found it to be absolutely amazing, even to the point that they have a similar feasts. But the feast took now a little strange changes. That's what the enemy has done with them. And now they are awakening in the thousands.
Well, and we should probably remind folks, Rabbi, that this is why God had such a problem in the scriptures with intermarriage. It's not that he had a problem with other cultures or different types of people.
Never intermarry.
Yeah.
I mean, they will never marry outside their tribe.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. God had a problem with this idea of, well, this other tribe, this other group, they follow foreign gods. And if you mix with them, then, I mean, look at, even though a Lemba will not marry outside the Lemba tribe.
Never.
You see how some of the traditions have been lost and mixed up or whatever. How much more would they be messed up if they had married outside? I mean, it wouldn't even exist.
Yeah, I spoke to some of the elders. They confirmed to me that actually the white people that brought Christianity, missionaries, they also had a very a big effect also, believe it or not, of bringing Christianity. Especially I experienced it with the Igbo people in Nigeria. They have had many more traditions that lost because now Christianity took a predominant religion.
And again, look at that. That is a, you know, Lance and I talked in a previous episode about how this, you know, traditions, and you and I in a previous episode about how tradition can be looked at as negative. So look at all these beautiful Jewish traditions they had, but when we as Christians came in, we didn't see the beauty and the importance of that tradition, and we said, you need to get rid of those things.
So you know, the interesting thing, the end of the words of of the prophets here is really fascinating. Listen to what they say, my dispersed one will be the one who bring the offering.
Wow.
That's going to take place when they are restored, when they're going to be restored, to the point that the rabbis of Israel said they're the one who's going to bring the Messiah to Israel. Well, go figure it out. How's that going to work out? And by the way, if you think about it, take the extension for this. We're not just talking about the Lambas now. We're talking about all of Africa. Well, that's also include African American. They all have this seed, scattered seed of the house of Israel, and it's important. They're not Jews, but they have the seed of Israel.
Well, and you bring up a wonderful point about African Americans and people of African descent all over the world. The two times that I know of in the modern day where we use the term diaspora is with the Jewish people and with Africans.
That's
the
right.
African diaspora. So there's so much depth in this, and this is why we're so glad that you who are in Africa or of African descent are asking these wonderful questions specifically about the Lemba and Africa and other things like that.
Yeah, but the reason they must have to ask, because those prophecies have to be fulfilled. They have to be fulfilled in order for the redemption to come. And one of the things that we're going to be doing in the future specifically, we're going to walk through all the prophecies that have to do with Africa. There are just so many of them. And this is a wonderful question. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for asking. Please submit further questions at af.shuvu.tv. From myself and Rabbi Shapira, we wish you God's peace. Shalom.